The day my son looked me in the eyes and told me I belonged in a nursing home instead of the luxury waterfront villa I had spent my entire life earning, something inside me quietly changed forever. I did not argue. I did not cry. I simply smiled, picked up my purse, and walked out the front door while my daughter-in-law laughed behind me. They believed they had finally won. They thought the villa would soon be sold. The money would become theirs, and I would quietly disappear into a retirement home. They had no idea that I had already decided what would happen to the house, and it was nothing they could have imagined. My name is Eleanor Brooks, and every dollar that bought that $12 million villa came from 31 years of hard work. I built a successful industrial supply company from the ground up while my husband, Daniel, stood beside me through every challenge. We were never born into wealth. We worked for everything we had. Daniel always dreamed of retiring beside the ocean in a beautiful white villa where we could finally enjoy the peaceful life we had postponed for decades. When I finally sold my company, I surprised him with the house of his dreams. It overlooked the water, surrounded by palm trees and quiet mornings filled with sunshine. Sadly, only a few weeks after we moved in, Daniel was diagnosed with a terminal illness. He spent just over a year in the home before passing away. After losing him, the villa no longer felt like a dream. Every room reminded me of the future we had planned together but never got to live. Seeing how lonely I had become, my only son Ryan suggested that he and his wife Madison move into the villa to keep me company. At first, it felt wonderful. The house was full of laughter again, family dinners returned, and I believe Daniel would have loved hearing little footsteps echo through the halls. But slowly, everything changed. My office became their storage room. My husband's paintings disappeared from the walls. Furniture was replaced without asking me, and guests assumed I was living with my son instead of the other way around. Eventually, they convinced me to move into the guest house behind the villa because they claimed it would be quieter and more comfortable for me. Months passed, and I slowly became invisible inside the home I owned. One evening, I accidentally overheard Ryan and Madison talking with her parents. They planned to sell their own house, move into my villa permanently, and eventually place me in a nursing home because, according to Madison, someone my age had no reason to live in a mansion. Ryan agreed without hesitation. Standing silently in the hallway, I felt no anger. Instead, I finally accepted the painful truth. My family no longer saw me as a mother. They saw me as an obstacle standing between them and my wealth. The very next morning, I met with an experienced attorney. She asked me one question that changed everything. If the villa disappeared tomorrow, what would I truly miss? I realized I did not miss the building. I missed my husband. The house had become nothing more than an empty shell filled with painful memories. Instead of letting greed destroy Daniel's dream, I decided it should become something meaningful. Over the following weeks, I legally donated the entire property to a charitable foundation that provided temporary housing and care for elderly people who had nowhere else to go. My only request was that the home forever carry my late husband's name. Every document was signed legally, every notice was delivered properly, and my son personally received the certified letter explaining that the property no longer belonged to him or anyone in the family. He ignored it, believing I would eventually change my mind as I always had before. A few weeks later, Ryan, Madison, and her parents arrived with moving trucks, excited to celebrate their new beginning. Instead, they found charity officials, contractors, my attorney, and a bronze plaque hanging proudly in the entrance. The plaque displayed the new name of the residence in honor of my husband. Madison read it twice before realizing the truth. Her hands began shaking, and the keys slipped from her fingers onto the marble floor. Ryan arrived moments later and understood immediately. He had hidden the legal notice from everyone, convinced it meant nothing. Now his silence had destroyed every plan they had made. I picked up the keys, handed them back to Madison, wished everyone the best, and quietly walked away. I never wanted revenge. I simply refused to let the dream my husband and I had spent a lifetime building become a reward for greed. Today, that beautiful villa welcomes elderly people who need kindness, dignity, and hope. Every Thursday, I sit beside the water, listening to their stories, and I know Daniel would have smiled knowing his dream home became a place where forgotten people finally feel loved. Losing my family broke my heart, but finding a greater purpose healed it. Sometimes the greatest victory is not proving someone wrong. It is choosing to do something so meaningful that their betrayal no longer has the power to define your life.